weird. And let's talk about weird with some really wonderful weird people. First, we've got the director and writer Eric Appel. And we have his writer and his inspiration, Al Yankovic.
Hello.
By the way, that song is also eligible for Emmy consideration. So I just want to ask first, has Madonna seen this movie?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Peep?
No, I haven't
No.
heard anything. I hope she's seen it.
I have to assume at this point she's at least heard about it, but we do not know.
Yeah, I don't know what goes on in the world of Madonna. I wouldn't be surprised if she hasn't even heard about it.
I think she canceled her biopic because she thought, well, the story's already been told, so what's the point?
Oh, I hope you get a cameo in her biopic. But really, what's surprising to me about this story, what I thought was kind of like the funny joke afterwards, was when I realized how much of this biography is actually true. Madonna did suggest Like a Surgeon to you. She's the only artist that you let suggest a song title to you in your entire career.
Yeah.
She had a magic effect, I'm guessing, of some sort. But also, you did get your first accordion from a traveling salesman. You did record your songs in a bathroom at one point. I mean, just tell me about that. Tell me about the line between truth and fakery for you and what the two of you were willing to put on screen.
Yeah, we went through the script. I think 27% of the movie is actually true. I mean, there are a number of things that you pointed out, which people might just assume the whole thing is made up. But yeah, I did record my first single in a public bathroom. That is true. And my parents decided I should take accordion lessons because of a traveling salesman. My dad did not beat the crap out of him, I should point out. But I mean, yeah, there are little, like I said, little nuggets sprinkled throughout to kind of lead people into. Our thought was to make the first third or so of the movie feel like maybe it's true, and you gradually kind of get the impression, no.
Yeah, it's like there's a different point for everyone when they realize that this is not a true story.
And some people think the whole thing is true.
Yeah. Yeah, even the very end.
Yeah.
That bathroom, by the way, has a plaque on it now, right? A
Yeah.
commemorative plaque?
Yeah, they call it Studio 229 because it's room number 229 in the Graphic Arts building at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. But there was like a little plaque next to the bathroom, like this is where Weird Al recorded My Bologna.
I mean, Eric, this whole thing started for you all the way back, like 13 years ago. You did a short mock joke trailer for a fake film that was a biography of Al. You had Aaron Paul play Al. You had Olivia Wilde play Madonna. Tell me about taking this from 3-minute prank to, oh, we just actually made the entire movie.
Yeah, it's funny. When I originally had the idea to make the video, I had reached out to Al through Patton Oswalt. And I just wanted to get his blessing. Like it felt like the kind of idea that Al maybe would have done himself. So, and I'd never met him before, was a huge fan. And after I emailed Patton, Al emailed me like 20 minutes later and said, Patton told me about this. This is a great idea. I'd love to collaborate with you on it. And which blew my mind. And we were like having coffee that evening, watching, we pulled up every biopic trailer that exists and sort of came up with a beat sheet for what that original trailer would be. Over the course of the next decade, Al played that fake trailer at his concerts during like a costume change, and people would come up to him after shows and ask, is this how can I see this movie? And he'd say, oh, it's just kind of a spoof trailer. It's, it works well as a 3-minute video. In 2019, I get a random email one morning from Al that just said, I've been thinking about it. I think maybe it's time what do you think about writing this movie together and you direct it? And
yeah, because Bohemian Rhapsody had just come out and won the Oscar, and Rocket Man was in the pipeline, and all these other biopics were in the pipeline. And a lot of the biopics, particularly, that didn't pay a lot of attention to the actual truth and chronology, and took a lot of liberties. And we thought, oh, well, let's do the biopic for me for real, but just have it go completely off the rails.
Yeah, so we started by, we were kind of like reverse engineering the movie. We already had the trailer for this movie. And so that's kind of where it started. That was like the real challenge of like, how do we turn this, take all the beats that are familiar to Al's fans and to his audience and keep those in the movie while creating a surprising, interesting new story
Well, I mean, the way you're describing it, it sounds like the process of making a parody song, except it's just a movie about biopics as a genre.
I mean, that was sort of the big meta concept that Eric had going in was like, let's do a parody movie about the guy that does parodies.
Yeah, and keeping the tone. You know, like when you hear one of Al's songs, it sounds like it's the real song. It's not until the words come in that you're like, oh, this is the funny version of this. The same thing with the movie, like tonally, we wanted this to feel dramatic, like a real biopic. Oh, it's almost if you watch it on mute, you'd be like, oh, this is a serious story.
We're trying not to wink as a very specific tone that Eric was going for.
Yeah.
But as you're like spitballing ideas out about what this movie could be, was there anything that you were like, that's too far, actually?
No. I don't think so.
Yeah, like our very first meeting about this, we went out for coffee the morning after he sent me the email, and he pitched the Pablo Escobar thing. That was like one of the very first things.
No, it was like I wanted to. This has to go so off the rails that by the end of the second act, I'm single-handedly battling a Colombian drug cartel. And Eric's like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah. I'm like, we just have to load that scene with like payoffs, and otherwise, it's
because otherwise the studio's going to take it out.
Yeah, it's going to be the first thing we're told to cut, unless we like build the whole movie toward this.
It has to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking the biggest, like, personal risk you took in this film, honestly, is like, okay, we know you're not a mass murderer. We know that you didn't do a ton of drugs, but you make fun of your own musical process in this. Like, people might watch this movie and walk away being like, he couldn't think of a rhyme for Bologna.
Well, I mean, self-deprecation has been a big part of my humor my entire career, and if I can't laugh at myself, like, I have no business doing what I do.
But I do want to take a second and be sincere and ask, like, the accordion as an instrument gets made fun of a lot. I would love to hear like a little defense of the accordion as a worthy instrument.
Well, thanks for bringing that up, because like back in the 40s and 50s, the accordion was a very cool instrument. Like Dick Contino, who was like the king of the accordion like in the 50s, if you look at his album covers, like he's got beautiful women draped over his legs. He was like this big sex symbol accordion player, which I'm trying to bring sexy back to the accordion now.
I mean, we have to talk about Daniel Radcliffe in this. I mean, his energy, truly wild. I remember writing in my review that when he's singing Another One Rides the Bus, or lip syncing it, he's lip syncing it so hard that like his neck veins look like they were about to
He's really singing on the set.
He's really singing hard, like on the set. He was singing along. Yeah, there could be an alt version. We did mic him. There's an alt version where Dan Radcliffe is singing these songs.
But Al, I mean, you personally pitched him to be in this movie. You also had to give up, I think, a little bit of your identity on the set. Like, on the set, he was now called Weird Al. You were called Real Al, is what I've heard.
Like, I'd walk by the trailers and I'd see a door that says Weird Al, and I'd walk in and Dan would be like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're Weird Al today.
When we were editing, Jamie Kennedy, our editor, would who I believe is here. She would refer to them as Al Jr. and Al Sr. in the scene that they're both in.
But also, what were you hoping that he in particular, of any actor you could have been in this? He's not the actor who immediately looks the most like you. What was it you really were hoping he would bring to this as an actor?
It was his commitment to comedy and drama. I mean, it's ostensibly a comedy movie. We needed somebody that would understand that, and Dan's a big fan of all sorts of comedy. But he's done some incredibly dark and serious dramatic work as well, and we needed somebody that could pull off both, because again, it's a very specific tone that we were going for.
Yeah, it's not playing it too broad, and it's not pushing the comedy. It's everything that's happening to his character is real to him in this bizarre world that we've created, and we felt Dan, with that body of work that he had post Harry Potter, like that's something that we thought he would definitely lean into and be perfect for.
No, you're right. There's never a wink, the kind of wink that takes you out of it. But also, I heard him say that he was shirtless in this movie more than anything else he's ever done.
The signature Weird Al abs.
But really, I feel like the staggering number of like comedians, actors, musicians who are in this film in cameos. I assume just cameos out of love, not like they're not making millions off of cameos in this movie. I thought that was beautiful because it speaks as a testament to the impact you had on generations of creative people. But also, I need to know about the logistical nightmare of just getting all of these people together to do giant scenes in the COVID area, and also just finding out deciding who would cameo as who?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I went through my Christmas card list, and I was sort of like the junior casting director for that pool party scene. And yeah, it was a bit of a logistical nightmare because, well, basically, we figured out when we had to do that scene, and then like all the people that were interested, like, well, we got to do it on this day at this time. That's the only option, and if they were in town and available, they came.
Yeah, and it was also, the entire shoot was only 18 days.
Wow.
Which is insane. Yeah. Hold 4 gasps.
The whole pool party scene was half a day.
Yeah,
the whole fight scene of the diner, that
about
whole
6
fight scene,
hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Oh, yeah. Because it was after lunch, and we shot the whole conversation in 2 hours.
It was a lot of one take. Okay, we gotta move on.
Yeah, it was really great. But that pool party scene, yes, a logistical nightmare, figuring out all the availabilities of the actors and getting them there. It was also like an immovable day because of that, and the coldest day of the year. We shot in February.
There's supposed to be people in the pool, but
it was too cold. Yeah, every time we call cut, everyone's like running under heat lamps. There's like one girl in a bathing suit, like in the scene. Like, we made sure to put splash sound effects in whenever the pool wasn't on screen to make it sound a little bit more like a fun summer pool party. But yeah, it was like, in and out. Like, everyone got like 2 or 3 takes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, in most comedies, you do a lot of improv. In this, because we were playing it as a drama, we really stuck to our script. And that's sort of what allowed us to move so fast, too. Jack Black comes in there. The first take was, I think most of what you see is the first take. So, working with people of that caliber, you don't really have to do that many more,
No, but I need to hear more about just working with the crew on an 18-day shoot, because that's stuff for any film, but this is something with so many jumps in time, so many different Al's, so many sets, so many Hawaiian shirts, so many wigs. I need to just hear about all of this. Honestly.
Yeah, it's really, I came from, I started my directing career at Funny or Die, which, we didn't have a ton of time to shoot these sketches. The original trailer was, I believe, 2 days of, I had a million trailer shots to get. We couldn't move around to a bunch of locations, so it was like finding one building where we can build all these little mini sets. And after Funny or Die, I moved on to, I did a lot of like Adult Swim stuff. I did the show NTSF SD SUV with Paul Scheer. And it was like, we had to move at such a clip on a show like that. And it was the same thing. It's like you go to one location and you figure out the 5 different sets you could build there. Some of them are one wall sets. It's having to make a lot of editorial decisions in pre-production and be very economical about what you're shooting and know what you're going to get, what you don't have to get. Is this just going to be a close-up? Are we not going to get wider coverage on this? And a crew that was truly, everyone was passionate about what they were working on. Like, everyone was a fan of Al's. Everyone really knew what we were going for and just gave us their absolute best. And
I have to give a shout out to the crew because I heard from so many people on the set that it was the nicest crew that anybody had ever worked with. And for an 18-day shoot, you think people would be freaking out and raising their voice and going crazy. Very calm set. Emily Newman, our AD, amazing. Everybody on the directing team and the whole crew was just phenomenal.
Well, and I want to talk about your score composers, because your music is very, very funny. Their music that they do with your scenes is very funny, adds a lot to it. I'm thinking about, in particular, like the scene where your mom discovers your accordion magazines, and it just sort of swells, and there's all that high drama.
Yeah.
You really had to find your own tone to kind of play with in this world.
Yeah, we Zach and Leo, like, just absolutely incredible composers. They do Cobra Kai as well, and I'd worked with Leo Bierenberg on Son of Zorn on Fox. That was the first time I'd worked with him, and have been working with him on almost everything I've done since then. You know, we really wanted this to feel like an awards movie. It's ridiculous that we've won awards and are nominated for awards. Like we set out kind of to make fun of the awards movie, and here we are. But like that was, you know, we really wanted this to feel like this big, beautiful, sweeping, epic, you know, Oscar movie, and we drew a lot of influence from like Forrest Gump, like this Alan Silvestri score, and like yeah, those guys like really went for it. We wanted it to be like, can we make people cry with this music like, in the Weird Al movie? Can it be that beautiful?
I'm gonna toss this out to audience questions in a second, but I want to ask before I do, for each of you, when did you first realize that you were weird? And has your relationship with being weird changed over the years?
I think about embryo stage. I don't know. No, I mean, as a young kid, I always knew that I was a little different. I was extremely nerdy. I skipped second grade into third, and I started kindergarten a year early. So I started high school when I was 12. So, you know, and I was nerdy anyway, so I was just like not, I was always a bit of an outcast. And, you know, when I write a song like White and Nerdy, that comes from a lifetime of experience. So I knew pretty early on that I was kind of weird, and people weren't shy about letting me know that.
Yeah, I was, I can't remember not being weird, I guess. I wasn't the smart weird though, like him. I was like the class clown, get in trouble a lot, you know, screw around weirdo.
But I appreciate that you've made a film that I think turns weird into being a noble badge of honor. And I think on behalf of weird people, we thank you for that. And on that note, who has some questions? I see one right here.
What was just curious, the Scotty Brothers featured in the movie, and I actually dealt with them myself about 40 years ago. What's the real Scotty Brothers story? How did you deal with them initially?
And the initial story was that a guy named Tad Dowd heard my demo for I Love Rocky Road, and was a big champion of getting me signed to Scotty Brothers. And in fact, Tony Scotti played the accordion when he was a little kid, for real. So there was that connection as well. But they still were like reluctant. Like every record company in town had turned me down, and Scotty Brothers was just sort of like waffling. And finally they said, "Okay, we'll take a chance on the Yankovic kid." So, but yeah, I was never dressed down like in the movie.
But why, out of everybody you could have played, why did you want to play him?
Yeah.
Actually, because I played a very similar role in the original Funny or Die video, because Eric had cast me as the record company executive that turns down Weird Al. And I thought, well, I've got to reprise my character on this one.
I love that. Who's next? Yes, right there in the pink.
Yes, I just wanted to know where your love of Hawaiian shirts came from. That wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I've always just kind of liked loud clothing, so it's just something that I always used to wear in my early 20s. And then my first big tour, you know how you're supposed to have like one stupid, unrealistic thing on your backstage rider, like the green M&Ms. So I said, well, I want the promoter to supply me with one garish Hawaiian shirt for every show that I do. And that year I did like 200 shows, so I had 200 shirts. So I started a collection.
How did you decide from your collection which one you'd wear today?
This one was clean.
All right, we've got one more, which I'll just right here in the front.
We can relate about one thing, and that's the love for that guy. I have
Oh, yes,
him on
indeed.
my phone.
He's holding up
Alfred E. Newman.
Instead of my own children, I have this guy on my phone. The very first scene of the movie, I saw Alfred E. Newman on the wall, and also with the friends that you made, there he was again. So I know, like me, I discovered Matt at age 10. It seems to be because I fell in love with what you were doing, because I fell in love with the articles in Mad about sung to the tune of,
Right.
with the great Frank Jeffries lyrics or whatever.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about that influence for you and what that meant to you?
Mad was a huge influence on me, and I think I discovered Mad when I was 12 years old, and it just kind of flipped a switch in my brain. And oddly enough, I kind of make this joke. A lot of people, if you ask them what's your favorite Weird Al album, it's always whichever album came out when you were 12 years old. You know, but it was kind of the same thing for me with Mad Magazine, because that had such a profound impact on my life. And this would have been like early mid 70s, so I couldn't like look up back copies on the internet. I had to beg my mother to drive me all around Los Angeles County to used bookstores and magazine stores and try to find back issues. But yeah, I mean that really was responsible for a big chunk of my sense of humor.
This must have been a great moment for you.
Oh my goodness, he's holding. I edited a edition of Mad Magazine. I was the only person ever to be a guest editor, and that was a huge deal. Thank you.
I mean, on that note, we should head to the reception in a second. We can all toast to Al Jaffe, who did the back fold, who passed away last week at 103, I believe. Yeah. 102. But I'm so glad everybody came out to see Weird today. We're gonna head up to the back of the reception. If you have friends who have not yet seen this movie, it's on Roku right now. Tell them they gotta go see it. It's such a blast. And thank you again, Eric. Thank you again, Al, for being here.
Thank you.